Hey, this is Johnny Cox. Now in this video we're going to look at some left hand techniques, and one really fundamental technique I like to call one finger per fret, but it's very easy to understand. All you do is you put your first finger on the first fret of the E string, then your second finger on the second fret, third finger on the third fret, fourth finger on the fourth fret. One finger per fret. Now we can do that on each string. So that's one finger per fret. Very simple to understand, a little bit more difficult to master. So if you haven't mastered that yet, I'd really recommend practicing that because it's a really important technique. Now if I add open strings to that, if I add the 4 open strings to that exercise, then I get a chromatic scale, starting from an open E string and going all the way up to the B on the 4th fret of the G string. Now the benefit of that is that it means I can play every single note in the chromatic scale from the low E to that B all in one position without having to have any shifts of position at all. Now for me, technique is all about efficiency. Whenever I'm practicing technique, either in my left hand or my right hand, I'm always looking for the most efficient way to play the notes. So when we're using this one finger per fret system, we want to try and keep our fingers nice and spread like this, play with the tips of your fingers, keep your hands nice and close to the strings and nice and close to the frets that you're going to play. That way, you hardly have to move at all when you want to play the notes. Now that's really a big advantage, and it's going to speed up your playing so much. So you want to be really careful to keep that position there. Fingers curled over, playing with the tips of the fingers, keeping the fingers close to the frets. Don't hide your little finger away down here or hide it behind the back of the bass. That's the benefit of this one finger per fret system. It means you can cover all of these notes without having to shift position. Now, once you've mastered that, the next thing to work on would be shifting positions, because sometimes we're going to want to go higher than just that 4th fret on the first string. So in order to do that, we can practice the same technique, but moving it up and down the neck on a single string. Here's example 3. And we can take that same exercise back down again. Now there's loads and loads of variations to this exercise for the one finger per fret. So you might know some of them already. For example, you can change the order of the fingering. Just as an example, I'm sure you can come up with your own ones. There's loads of different examples of that technique, and it's a really common exercise for bass players, guitar players. You can't practice that one too much really. Everyone from complete beginners to professional musicians can practice those one finger per fret exercises. They're so useful. So in these next few examples, I'm going to show you how to adapt this one finger per fret technique to your playing by using scales and arpeggios as demonstrations. So for example, here's a B major scale played using one finger per fret. And here's an F minor scale played using one finger per fret. Okay, this next one is an A flat major arpeggio. I added a 7th and a 9th in there, makes it sound more interesting. Now this next one is an F minor arpeggio. There I I added in a 9th and an 11th just to make it sound a little bit more interesting. So that's just a few examples, but once you get used to this 1 finger per fret way of playing, you should try and play everything you play on the bass like that. You should try and adapt it to that. Now in this last example I'm going to do something slightly different. As I'm sure you've already noticed, the frets on the bass get closer and closer together as you go up the neck, which means that the stretches you need in order to play 1 finger per fret get smaller and smaller. So this gives us slightly more options. It means that we can stretch our fingers a bit further in terms of how many frets we cover. So what I like to do sometimes when I'm playing slightly higher up the neck, maybe above the 5th fret, is I like to use my first finger to cover more than 1 fret. It covers 2 frets. So I'm just going to demonstrate how I would adapt this 1 finger per fret system, playing an E flat major scale and using my first finger to cover both the 6th and 7th frets. And my middle finger is going to play the 8th fret, 3rd finger the 9th fret, and 4th finger the 10th fret. It goes like this. Okay, thanks again for checking out johnnycoxmusic.com, and as always, all the tabs of all my examples are available on the website, johnnycoxmusic.com.